Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Oh, I got to take that off. My bad. Technical. And Evan, your camera's gone. So, right
Can you hear
on.
me?
Got it.
Good
Yeah, we can
timing.
hear you loud and clear. So Evan's camera, he was trying something new today, and obviously that didn't work. So I guess I'm gonna have to do the intro today, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, there we go.
We're
He's
back.
back.
I'm good.
So perfect. I bought enough
There you go.
time. So gotta
Awesome.
love when technology fails you.
It cut out right at the beginning of the video too. That was perfect timing. Awesome. Well, welcome back everyone for HVAC Success Secrets Were Revealed, where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Unfortunately, Brent is on the road today, so he is not able to drink with us, but that's all right. He's having some water, staying hydrated in the desert of Las Vegas.
You can pour yourself one when you get home, sitting beside your pool while we go outside with our hoodies and jeans and bundled up with our lovely freezing weather.
Yeah. Awesome. So welcome, Mr. Brent Buckley.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Some time. Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know who Brent is, he's from Yes Air Conditioning and Plumbing out of Las Vegas. He's a father of 4, has a beautiful family there. If you follow him on Instagram and Facebook, you can see all their wild adventures that they go on. But he's been in the business for 19 years. He has a wealth of knowledge, and basically all you got to do is leave it at this: $7 million last year as a selling tech. He is a business all in his own. He does phenomenal work. But one of the things that you're going to learn from Brent today and listening to him speak, he leads with empathy. He cares about his clients deeply, and it shows in the results that he gets. So welcome, Brent.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. So first off, just wanted to dive into the history. What got you into the industry? How did you get started, and how did you get to where you're at today?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey, but like many of the leaders in this industry, I got started. It was kind of a family thing. My dad was in the HVAC business all my life. I started at a very young age, going out and helping on jobs during the summer or weekends. When I graduated high school, I pretty much went straight into doing HVAC. I started as a helper at $10 an hour, helping with running parts and equipment, installing, equipment in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm not from there. I was actually born in California, lived most of my life through high school in Vegas, and then my dad lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and when I got out of high school, I moved up there and decided to do this full time. So it was going to start out as a kind of a summer job, and I just kind of progressed really quickly, and then they offered to pay for me to go to tech school, and that's kind of how I got stuck in the industry, I would say. But it was a good move. I mean, 19 years later, lots of success in the business, and have been able to contribute to the industry a lot lately, and so it's been rewarding. So I spent about a year and a half in Colorado Springs, going to school, doing installation help, all that kind of stuff. And then my dad decided to be a general manager for another competitor at the time, and it was a 1-hour franchise. And it kind of changed everything for me, as far as like training and, as far as sales, training, and being the best version of myself I could be out there in front of the customer. So, when I went over there, I spent some time starting in installations, and immediately they saw that I had a knack with the customers. I was taking jobs that were basic sales and installing them, and then offering accessories after the fact. which wasn't common back then. And it kind of upset some of the salespeople, kind of going over the back. But hey, I got permission from the owner, and so I was doing it. It was a way for me to get extra money, and
Yep.
also enhance the lives of my customers. So I started doing that, and then pretty quickly. I mean, I would say within 6 months of me being at 1 hour, he said, "Hey, you know what? The owner was going to pay for me to go to a sales course and technical training to get even more training, and invested about $20,000 into me. Sent me to St. Louis, Missouri for this for like a month. I pretty much lived there. To this day, that's one of my mentors. Somebody I'm really grateful for." Because he did, put out, the money to do that. So I went to those courses. I came back fired up, ready to go. I want to say I spent 1 full year in Colorado Springs and did close to about $1 million. And back in 2003, doing $1 million was a lot of money. I mean, $1 million sales guy was pretty not very common. So at the time. So
Yeah, with inflation, that's probably like 12 million today, isn't it?
probably, yeah. I mean,
That joke.
I would say it's probably 2.5, 3 million today.
Totally.
So yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, I had a knack for it, and I liked doing it, and I, really liked customers, and so in 2005, I decided to come back to Las Vegas, mainly for some personal reasons, but.
Oh, we lost your sound, at least for me. Oh, now you're back.
Okay.
We temporarily lost your sound, so.
So yeah, my family and friends at the time, we're all in Vegas. So I decided to come back here. And so my dad and the owner of the company knew a guy named Ken Goodrich, which is a pretty well-known guy in the industry. He's created a lot of leaders. He's created a lot of companies and have sold them over the years. And he's been pretty successful. So I got hooked up with a pretty good setup here in Las Vegas. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do $1 million a year or not. When I came here, it was kind of all in faith, but I wanted to be back here in Vegas. So I took the job. Pretty quickly, I sold $1 million, then it was $2 million, it was $3 million, then it was $4 million. There was some years. There was probably a number of years, maybe 4 or 5 years, that I was stuck at the $3 to $4 million range, and really just wasn't able to grow past that, which was huge. I mean, I was still the number one sales guy in the company, in the nationwide company, and so, and then 2008, we sold the company to ARS. Before that, I got an opportunity to be a partner in the company for all my performance. I kind of earned my way into it. We sold it to ARS. At the time, I got a payout, which was huge. I mean, I was young. I was like, you know,
And in Vegas,
23,
too.
maybe 23, 24 years old. I'd never seen that much money in my life. And so I was, it was a wild ride to get there. A lot of work. I worked really hard. I earned my way into it. Ken was such a grateful guy. I mean, he didn't have to do that, but he did. And then, so when we sold ARS, we had, a period of time where we had to, we did like an earn out, and we were able to get another chunk of money on the back end. And then at the time, Ken was moving on to his next adventure, which he started Gettle. And I had the opportunity to go with Ken or stay with ARS. It was a pretty rough decision for me at the time, but ARS was able, I ended up staying with ARS and in Yes Air Conditioning. And so I've been here ever since.
Nice.
I've been a part of a number of sales of companies. Over the years, I'm really grateful for some of the people that have really got me there, because I couldn't have done it with just myself. I was pretty young at the time and had no clue what's going on. So yeah, so that's kind of in a short version of how it's happened. I'm still here. In 2015, I was really able to start climbing up in revenue. I started concentrating more on higher end equipment and ductwork, and was able to move my average ticket up. And from 2015 to today, I've been able to go from about $3 to $4 million up to 7 million, and I'm tracking 8 million this year. So,
Perfect.
um, so yeah, it's not an overnight success. A lot of people ask me, hey, what do I got to do to do $8 million a year, $7 million a year? And it's like, be prepared to put in the
Spend
work
19
and the
years in the
time,
industry.
to get there,
Yeah.
because it's not an overnight thing. And I always tell, if you're better than you were yesterday, you're ahead. Every year you get a little better and a little better and a little better, and you're able to, find yourself in a position where you never thought was possible. So
Totally.
Yeah. Well, that's actually great that you answered my question for me, because I wrote that down earlier. Was that you're stuck at 3 to 4 million, you couldn't grow past it. Well, what can you do to grow past it, right? And obviously, you mentioned that with the higher end equipment and moving into duct work and adding in some of those extra things to be able to increase that average ticket. Would you say that there's anything else other than that core thing that helped you shift from 3 to 4 million to essentially doubling that?
yeah, mainly the mindset, of the way that I treated customers, the way that I thought of customers. Um, I really had evolved personally, over the years, and so being confident in what you're offering is one thing. Being knowledgeable is one thing, but some of the things that people don't realize is the way that people come off, in the way you talk to customers, your empathy for customers, um, your selflessness, all those things are factors in making a sale and or making a customer, really. Um, so yes, there's a lot more than just selling higher equipment and more offering, different lines of stuff we offer. But I would say more of a personality or personal change, in the way that I approach stuff and the way that I would do stuff. So, um, a lot of people around me said, when I started doing this is in my 20s, I thought I was the best ever. No one could tell me any
Mm-hmm.
different. And so,
And even
you know,
sometimes even sometimes you still think that you're the best ever, right?
right.
Yeah.
But still today, like I want to do 8 million this year. What do I gotta do? I can't see more customers. There's almost so much time in the day. You know, the equipment, I've already been selling high end equipment. How am I going to get to $8 million? And it's going to be closing more of the deals. Convincing people that I'm the right contractor, more people than I had last year, that I'm the right contractor to do the work. There's nobody better than me and my company, and I truly believe that. Um, so it's now fine tuning small things, minute details, and being able to increase revenue from last year, because last year was a record breaking year for me. I mean, 7 million in the industry, is really unheard of. I mean, there's maybe two other guys that I've heard ever doing that kind of revenue. So um, and the other thing is surround yourself with a great team.
Hmm.
I couldn't go to just anywhere and do these kind of numbers. The team I have, they have really, they've given me the support and the ability to be able to do this. So so that the team is really the winning factor here. So
Totally. Well, a couple of the things that really stand out for me in that story, which thank you very much for sharing all of that. You said that you
can't hear
enhance
you.
the lives. Not at all.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can't hear him.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird.
Evan's technology is being drunk today, I guess. So,
You're the only one drinking whiskey, so
yeah, fair. So it's maybe she should switch to beer instead.
how about now? Any better?
Can you hear him now? Evan, say something.
It's like echoing, kind of like a slow-mo.
Weird.
Yeah. All right.
Here.
So I guess I don't know what Evan was going to say, but I'll lead into one of my questions that I wanted to ask and kind of get to was a little bit about the marketing side of things. I know that you kind of have a little bit of a different approach. You do some of your own personal marketing as well as the marketing from the company itself. So what are the two things that you see are really driving that on both your personal side as well as the business side from what they're giving you?
Well, last few years I've kind of focused on posting a lot on Instagram and Facebook about jobs we're doing, and the people are following me are friends or family, and I've gotten a lot of referrals from that, a lot more than I ever thought. And I have some pretty amazing friends that support me, that really put my name out there. And so personally, that's about the extent of my personal marketing. The company has done a great job of marketing in the past. We sponsor the Vegas Golden Knights hockey team, NHL. We do every bit of marketing to get our brand out there, in front of everybody, so that when they do have a problem in the middle of summer, that first name that pops up, yes, air conditioning on Google, they're gonna say, oh, I recognize that company. They're all over, So specifically as far as marketing, I'm not in that department, but I could tell you, we do it all. I mean, we do internet, we do billboards, we do radio, TV commercials. If there's a way to market, we're usually doing it. So the company's been in business here over 20 years, and it's a pretty well-known brand here. And we do have a lot of new people moving here, somewhere around like 5,000 to 8,000 a month. A lot of them are coming from California, so they may not be aware of our company, but they will be soon, with all of our marketing campaigns. So
Love it.
yeah, hopefully that answers the question. But
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Is it any better?
Can you hear Evan now?
No, I can. It's just kind of like a slow-mo of his voice, so it's like blurred out.
Wow.
That's weird.
I can hear you fine.
God, that must be the headset. Evan needed to get some speakers. I guess he can say something to me and I can reiterate that back. Might have to be like telephone.
We'll edit this out of the actual podcast. So my
Yeah.
question was in regards to enhancing the lives of customers. What are his beliefs around that? And then around higher end ducts, how he was able to build conviction in selling those now.
Perfect. Did you hear any of that, Brent? No? Okay. So his question was around enhancing. Hopefully I get this right. I was trying to jot it down. So I wouldn't make a good interpreter because I would be able to, I just mess things up and like squirrel around there. But
I can hear him now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, just re-ask your question because I mean, I
Beautiful.
could try to answer it. And we can give a little ha-ha moment, but it's just better if you answer it.
So one of the things that you said during your original story there, where you were talking about enhancing the lives of customers and that being like a core value and something that you really believe in. So I was wondering if you could touch on that a little bit, and then also how that attributes to then selling higher end equipment and adding in ductwork and your conviction in being able to do that, because not everyone believes in selling a 16 SEER unit when the average is only 13.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first started in this industry, I was like, oh, people just want to buy, the lowest price option that we have. And so, of course, naturally I would gravitate towards offering that and really not elaborating on, uh, what we have to offer, in a full menu type option. Now, if there's any part of the country that you want to buy a high efficiency heating and air conditioning system, it would be here or Arizona. So I started thinking, I'm like, well, you know, 22 SEER equipment. I have a 22 SEER unit on my home and I love it. The airflow, the temperature differences, the even temperatures, how quiet it is. I'm like, why doesn't everybody want to buy this? So it's truly something that you got to believe in. Having one in my own home has been able to allow me to sell the product better, especially on the very high end. When I'm talking like 22, 24 SEER inverter systems. So, when I'm talking to customers, I tell them, like, look, I have this in my home. It's not for everybody. It's obviously the Cadillac of air conditioning. However, if there's any part of the country you would want to own one of these, it would be here. Also, this system isn't like a car where the average ownership is 3 to 5 years. This is a system you're going to have to live with for the next 10 to 15 years in this home. So make a good choice, as far as what you're putting in and who you're using to do it. So as far as enhancing people's lives, being able to offer stuff that, these rooms weren't getting cooled properly or heated properly, and I can actually, go in and we can design a system that will better, be a better comfort system for their home. That gives me joy that I was able to solve something that really nobody else offered. I started offering duct work, and mainly because we were putting in these 16 SEER, 17 SEER, 22 SEER units to these duct systems that were 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. And they were not, when we were checking them, like I never checked static pressure in my life up till about 2 years ago. And when we're checking these units, I went to this course through one of the manufacturers, and they were telling me, 75% of the breakdowns on the HVAC equipment is due to poor airflow. So I was like, well, why are we installing these high efficiency systems to these low efficiency duct systems, right? Doesn't make sense, right? We're in the desert. Most of the ductwork here is in a 150-degree attic in the summer. It only makes sense. So, when I started really working towards adding that as part of the project, the numbers just went crazy. Obviously you're talking about adding $8,000 to $10,000 onto a system that's already, $15,000, $20,000, and so, but it was also, a benefit to the customer in a great way. They weren't getting 22 SEER out of their system with a 30-year-old ductwork that's leaking everywhere in the attic. So, all I do is educate the customer, give them options, and and let them choose. But I want them to know that, hey, we have their best interests at mind, and I want to do this job right the first time. So, if they want to go in and put a 22 SEER unit on 30-year-old ductwork that's really not efficient enough, that's up to them. But if it's up to me, they're going to know about it. So I really take it seriously, because I don't think we're doing them a favor putting a 22 SEER unit on a 30-year-old ductwork, or 50-year-old ductwork. So we have a whole process where we check static pressures before, we check it afterwards, and we actually show them, hey, look, you're actually moving the proper amount of airflow now. So that's really enhancing people's lives, as far as they can go buy an air conditioning heating system from anybody, but to really get a system that, is done properly, that comes from very few people, and so, and mainly not a lot of the contractors want to do duct work. It's really not easy work. It's hard work. It takes a lot of time, a lot of manpower, and it's something that, that at first I got a lot of pushback from, on the company side. But after a lot of persistence, I was able to get them to invest in crews to do it, trucks, and we're full on rolling. I think we did about $2.5 million in ductwork last year. So,
Oh,
where we were doing zero before. So,
yep. Fair. That's like it's an easy thing to be able to that I think a lot of people overlook, and that's just doing it right. Like if you're going to put in that higher SEER unit, why would you use old ducts? Like it just doesn't make sense, in terms of that. And like I even know that, and well, it's anyways. The one thing that I wanted to ask was our random question generator. I'm going to throw this in here. So the random question generator is one thing that we love. And it's a random question that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about. It's completely random. So what's the weirdest conversation you've eavesdropped on?
weirdest conversation. Probably some guy breaking up with his girlfriend at the bar. I mean, that stands out. I mean,
Those are always my favorite. The drunk couple.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, some of the situations that we go into and some of these homes and stuff is just, it's just odd in itself.
Yeah.
But,
Perfect. Well, let's.
Oh man,
let's
I remember when I used to sell HVAC, and there was one call that I was on, and the couple got into a heated argument right in front of me where she wanted to buy it and he didn't. And they fought right in front of me while I was sitting across the kitchen table from them. I was like, "Do you want me to go?" And he's like, "No, you stay here." I was like, "All right, here we go." I ended up making the sale.
That's happened to me before too, many times. There's arguments and stuff, and you just try to stay quiet because you just don't know what to say. Like
Totally.
you don't want to say something wrong, and then you're kicked out of the house, or But it's a big investment. It's an emotional decision for customers, and they have to like and trust you. I mean, that's a lot of it. So.
Yep, no like trust. We actually had some comments. John Dixon was talking about that. Him and Jason Julian were back and forth, and one of the things they talked about, revolves around no like trust, and that's a recurring thing that we say on the show is that you have to know, like, and trust the person that's sitting across the table. Not so much like because they have to. They have to like you, but how many times we've heard, hey, I really like you, but we didn't decide to do business with you, right? So it's having those other two things, especially that trust factor, which is a big one. But you think about that. If you can sit there at a table and the couple's arguing back and forth about one person wanting to buy it, one person's not, and you can just sit there, be patiently quiet, there's almost like a trust level there because they're willing to have that conversation in front of you, right? Which is a key thing. It's just don't interject. That's the toughest part about being in sales sometimes is just sitting there quietly because, well, we all like to talk as salespeople. So one question that we had, and I don't know if this necessarily comes up a lot because you are doing a lot of the sales, the selling tech yourself. So you're turning your service calls into your sales opportunities. But, you have guys turning over to you. They don't give a shit about training, thriving, or money. So how do you push them to become a stellar turnover tech to the sales people themselves? I don't know if you have any thoughts that you'd want to add into that.
Well, I don't have a lot of experience with this, but I know some of the other companies have teams where they've got, one comfort advisor or manager, and then they've got like 5 techs out there that are turnover leads. If it was me, the way that I want the leads turned over, I have to show them. I have to go out there and I got to train them to do it the way that I want it done. That's the first thing that comes to mind. if they're not doing what you want done, or they're turning over stuff that just doesn't seem like they're interested, or whatever it may be, I would want to see the process that they're doing to turn over those leads, and creating the urgency, because a lot of the sale is on that guy, turning it over. So, if things aren't being done properly, or they don't care enough, that tells me that they need more training. Like they just, I would be spending time on calls with them and showing them how to do it. If I don't know if that answers your question, but
I will add. We'll find out if that answered Coral's question. But really, it makes sense, right? I mean, if you want somebody to do something for you, and you want them to do it the right way, how you want them to do it, well, train them on how you want them to do it. It's an easy thing, right? And you could even evergreen some of that a little bit. By evergreen, I mean you set something up. It's easy to do it in the field and go and do the field training, but I mean you could also have some documents and some of that along with them. Maybe it perhaps doesn't work if they don't have that care or the want, but actually going in the field and making an expectation of their position to be able to say, hey, this is how you have to do this for you and for the business to be able to help move it forward.
yeah, holding them accountable to the results. Um, just like if you're really crappy at your job, you're not a good marketer at all, you lose company money, they're going to fire you, right? I mean, so first off, I would spend time training them the way that I want it done. If they still continue on to do it the way that they want to do it and they don't, they might not be a good fit, so, that not everybody's cut out to do this,
Well, and I mean, you've got kids. It's a lot like parenting.
Yeah,
You can't ask your kids to do something if they don't know how to do it. You have this
right.
expectation of what you want because this is how you would have done it. But if you haven't grabbed their hand and showed them how to do it, you can't get mad at them when they didn't do it right.
And they usually don't do it right after the first training or the second
Nope.
training. It's consistent, being consistent in the way that you want it done,
Yep.
and it's not an overnight thing. I mean, you're probably going to have to work with that person for quite a while, but time is love is what they say. So time
Absolutely.
invested.
So let me ask you this, because clearly, I mean, to sell $7 million, one of the things that you said earlier stood out to me. To sell $7 million, like you obviously have to grab the customer's arm, hold it behind their back, right, and twist it around them until they hand you their credit card, right? Like that's the only way that you can get to that high.
That used to be the old way. That doesn't work anymore.
Oh no,
No,
that was the old Vegas.
no.
The old Vegas.
No, the soft sale has worked the best for me over the years. I've done, in 19 years, I've done whatever, all kinds of different, ways. But, I had somebody riding with me the other day, and the whole process from the minute I walk in the door to us closing the job is about handling the objections before they come out, right? So as we're going through the process and working, towards, what their situation is, I'm closing the objections as we go. And, I've gotten so good at it that it's just something that's just subconsciously doing, like I don't even know I'm doing it, but I'm asking them questions and showing them this and showing them that and doing that. So when it comes to sitting down at the table and going over options, it's already sold, a lot of times before I even give them a price. Like they already know they want to replace a unit, or they already know that they want a higher efficiency unit. They don't know how much it is yet, but as far as using the company and myself, it's already sold. So, and I had a guy riding with me like last week from our company for a couple days, and he straight up told the GM, like, he's like, man, it wasn't anything that I was expecting at all. I thought I was going to come into, a guy that's really good at sales, and, there's a lot of pressure to close the deal on the site. And he's like, it wasn't that at all. Like, it was the softest sell that I've ever seen. He's like, they literally just say yes at the end, and I don't understand. Like, and I explained to him, the things I say along the way and the things that I do along the way of my process is so that when we get out the end of the call, that there isn't any like objections moving forward, other than price, but it's the process, of getting to that point. So,
Totally.
but yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
So arm twisting.
yeah, and Evan and I were chatting about that before you jumped on into the backstage, of listening to some of the other podcasts that you've done, and I listened to the one, a little while ago and a few before, and Evan's like, well, he's not somebody that, it's not what I was expecting. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I was expecting to hear some slick talking sales guy on these podcasts about here's some tips and tricks, but extremely humble individual who just cares about people. And when you have that humbleness and you care about doing it the right way for them, that's what people see. They don't like the slick talking sales guy because it doesn't make them feel good, and after there's the buyer's remorse and they're like, ah, shit, well, that guy took me. Well, they probably don't get that feeling because you actually cared about them, their problem, their situation, and where they're at, and took the time to explain that, which is it's a super huge differentiating factor that can move the needle a lot in your sales.
And of course I want to close the job, I mean, that's my job, right? But
Yep.
I'm not disappointed when I can't, I don't take it personal. If they don't use me, it's usually out of my control, and so my attitude when I don't sell a job is just as good as when I am selling a job, if that makes sense. So for the people out there, I've heard people saying, on these things, well, I only got 3 units left, or the prices are going up, you better buy now. And, I don't, I just don't use that kind of sales technique. Not saying that it's bad or not to develop the urgency, but there's other ways to develop urgency because every customer is different. You got to really be able to read people and understand what each individual person is wanting to buy off of. Some might be price, but most aren't really. They're not. I mean, they really just are wanting somebody they can trust to do the work and do it well. And so it's the way that you represent yourself when you're out of the house and your professionalism. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors there that I've developed over the years that have got me to 7 million, but
100%. Now that's, well, I mean, one of the things you said earlier reminded me of a quote that I heard when I was a kid doing sales. And it was, an objection is a symptom of a presentation that needs resolving. Right. So that at the end, you no longer get objections. Right. And that's what 19 years of experience gets you. So, I know you got to run because you are not the owner of the business. You are selling tech and well, you make money when you're on sales calls. So we're running out of time, but I do want to ask you this one last question. I'm curious, if you were forced to move from Vegas and you got the Zuck slap, just like our friends at HVAC Uncensored got, which by the way, their group's back up and running. So if you haven't joined it yet, go back and check it out because Gil and Kelly are awesome. But you got the Zuck slap. So you lost all of your Facebook accounts, all of your Instagram accounts. You now have no connections on there and you had to move from Vegas. How would you start over? And how quickly do you think you get back to the level you're at now?
I mean, starting over without the knowledge I have now.
No, you still got the knowledge. You just don't have the resources that you currently have.
I would go find, I would probably move to Arizona because that's the hottest climate. Obviously, I can perform the best there. So that would probably be where I go, Arizona or Southern California. I like both those areas. And yeah, I would go in and I would sell myself as somebody that has the ability to run calls and convert. And I don't think I would start down at ground zero at all. I think I would be right up there, but finding the right fit the right chemistry with the company is going to be the biggest challenge, because, in all reality, the company I work for now, all the systems were built really around me. I mean, when I look at it in the past, I'm like, the way we do stuff is the way that I wanted it done, and when it comes to how we set up jobs, how the installers go to, how quickly we are, the ductwork, like the crews and stuff. So I've kind of developed this system around me. So, it's unfair for me to say that I can just go into any other company and do this right away, but they'd have to be open to changing some stuff.
When you have the performance level that you have the track record of that, and you just say, hey, I can sell you $7 million in a year. You want by myself? Do you want to change some things? I mean,
Yeah.
no brainer. If I was the business owner, I'd be like, yeah, sure, come aboard, right? And away you go. So I know Evan said that
And
was
I'm
the
easy to
last.
work with, so
Yeah.
I'm really open and easy
Yep.
to work with, and I've had a lot of change in this industry. I've seen a lot of change, and I've adapted and moved forward. So
Yep.
a lot of
Well,
people haven't. So.
let me ask you this. I know, and I know. So we said last question, but when you say hard stop, hard stop. What is the biggest obstacle or frustration you see in the industry right now?
As an industry whole, I see the lack of talent and technicians that are going to be available going forward. The younger generation isn't getting into this business, and so it's kind of causing a labor shortage, and so I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, and going forward for a lot of people. Um, I'm not sure what the answers are. I mean, tech schools and all that stuff, but a lot of people are starting to develop their own techs, training them in house.
Yeah.
I mean, I've recruited, I couldn't even tell you, probably a dozen or more people in the last couple of years that have zero experience in AC and plumbing, and been able to train them and get them to a point where they have a career now. And it doesn't take that long. It just takes some resources and time. Um, but the biggest challenge I see is the labor shortage.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a big one. It's you look at people in the trades are going to, not just this trade, lots of the trades are going to be hurting because everybody's wanting to go into, go get a college degree. Well, you know what? You could do really well for yourself in the trades, right? It's
Oh
a
yeah.
huge thing. So, um,
Well, let me put it this way: the average commission as a selling tech or comfort advisor is usually between 7 and 10%. So you take 7 million, you figure out what the commission level is on that,
Yeah.
and so and it's not going to happen right away, as you pointed out, right? It's something that if you work your ass off over 19 years, you could be making that kind of money. How many kids would be willing to put in that effort?
yep.
And the issue that I see more often than not is people overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in a decade. You're in this for 2 decades now,
Yeah.
and you're now putting up the numbers that you are, and it's remarkable to see, but it's a testament to the work that you put in over the years. So I really want to commend you for what you've done and what you represent for the industry.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
No worries. Well, we'll leave off on that. I know we're kind of right up against your time limit here for where you got to go. So I do want to take the time to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to sit and chat with a couple crazy Canadians. Of course, if you want to get in touch with Brent, you can reach him at theyesmancan.com. That is the company website. He is not for sale or for hire for training, unfortunately, not at this present moment in time. But I'm sure that if you ever would, you'd probably have a lineup
You can
around the
reach out
block.
to me on Facebook if you guys have any questions. I don't, at this point, I'm not doing training and stuff. So, but I love to help out the HVAC community. I do this on my own time. I've committed a lot over the past, few years to doing podcasts and just contributing back to the HVAC community. And so if you have a question or something, you feel free to message me on Facebook. And I'll answer the best I can. So
Perfect. So that's facebook.com/Brent B17. Facebook.com/Brent B17. We'll put it in the show notes for those after. Of course, if you are a marketer and you hit them up, you might get blocked. That happens sometimes. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Just as a little backstory, when I first messaged Brent, I sent him a question. It wasn't even a question, it was more so just commending him on the podcast. And he saw marketer in the name, and I got blocked from him. So
it's the other guy that really ruined it for you. I apologize. And it's just overwhelming, man. I get like 30, 40 friend requests a day, and 20 DMs on marketing and this and that. It's like, I don't even own the company, guys. Come on.
And I didn't take it personally. I laughed after, and I was like, you know what? And I sent Evan a message, and like if him and I didn't go back and forth so much on Messenger, I would have screenshotted and put it up. And I'm like, when that happened, and I listened to the podcast, I'm like, my goal is to get Brent on the show. When we started this podcast, I literally sent that to Evan. I'm like, my goal now is, because he blocked me, my goal is to get him on our show. And here we are, come full circle.
I think I blocked like 10 people in that same time frame. So
I don't take it personally. I didn't take it personally. You know what? Like, there are some bad marketers out there that give us a bad name, and it's shitty for the good guys, right? Like, but we get it. So I didn't take it personally, but I did want to throw that in.
It was probably in the middle of his $900,000 month in August. So he was probably a little busy.
Maybe. So, but anyways, thanks again for taking the time. No worries. You enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck on everything you got going on. And until next time, guys. Cheers.
All right. Keep in touch, guys. Thanks.
Ciao.
Cheers, man.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, join our Facebook group. Facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. That URL one more time, Facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one little golden nugget of information from this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, what we ask is you introduce this show to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all we ask. Introduce it to one person in your contacts list so they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.